What is going on? What is going on? What is going on? It's your boy Julien Stoutt, the best personal trainer you have never heard of. We're about to take off and class is in session. So, first of all, I took a week off because Thanksgiving was hectic. I had to get things together for Thanksgiving, and I wanted to use that time wisely to make sure that everything that was the spectacle that is Thanksgiving was as good as I wanted it to be at that time. So I decided to take last Wednesday off because that's the time most people are spending their time preparing meals for the next day. Not necessarily cooking it all, but at least getting it all ready so that way the festivities can partake the way that they should. So with that being said, how was you guys' break on Thanksgiving? For some of you, you guys might have taken off a week, might have taken off 3 or 4 days, might have only taken a couple of days, but you guys did that. So I just wanted to know, how was your break? How did you enjoy yourselves? Did you guys actually enjoy your family members? Because sometimes, you know, when you visit family, things get a little contentious, but at the same time, it gets a little crazy. So, and you know, sometimes things calm down and everybody has, you know, their own ways of bringing the temperature back down to normal, or keeping it somewhat even keeled and, you know, tolerating each other, or even in fact loving each other and being thankful for the fact that you guys are together. So in that respect, I definitely want to reiterate the message that I had on Thanksgiving to you all as well, which is hopefully you guys do understand that your family is not going to be around forever. And because your family is not going to be around forever, you should at least take the time to enjoy their company, enjoy their presence, enjoy all that there is to enjoy with them. So because, like I said, you never know when you're not going to have them. I have friends and family who have lost, you know, their parents recently. I have people who have lost connection with their family members in the most harshest of ways. And I think that you guys can actually feel like, with knowing that. And also some people that I follow lost their parents, some family members as well. And Thanksgiving should honestly be a time where you really should have, this should be the holiday of family. I know a lot of people say Christmas is, but since Christmas is technically a religious holiday, I honestly don't think that Christmas should be that holiday, because some people are not Christians. Some people are not, you know, Catholic. Some people are not of the Christian faith. So therefore, Christmas does not and may not be the official American holiday where family is celebrated. And I think Thanksgiving should be that holiday for the majority of us, if not all of us that live in this country. So with that being said, you see the title in the thumbnail. After Turkey and Thanksgiving, or after Thanksgiving and Turkey. And this video is going to be about what should you be doing coming up to the resolution season. Because as you know, the resolution season is literally what, 3-4 weeks away? 3. Let's say 4. No, it's 3 because the weekend is coming. So 3 weeks from now, we will be in we will be in resolution season because, as you well know, between eating during Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, you will accumulate approximately about 5 to 10 pounds. You will gain about 5 to 10 pounds during that time frame, especially if you are festive. All right. So immediately after Thanksgiving, you should be really locked in on how you're going to economize your fitness schedule and also how to economize your meal prepping, right? This is a crucial time because while you do typically gain 5 to 10 pounds, you rather be on the 5-pound end than the 10-pound end, right? And for me, as of right now, actually, because I'm injured, it doesn't look like it, but I am injured. My workouts have been more cardio based, which is why I'm a little bit more svelte than normal, right? Is more cardio based because I can't lift as hard and as heavy as I would like to. I have dual bicep injuries, mainly due to the impact of hitting during boxing. But at the same time, it has affected my lifting capabilities as well. So as of right now, I've been more focused on my cardio. I have been lifting still, but not nearly as heavy as I would like, not nearly as heavy as my muscles could tolerate if I weren't in pain. But I am still lifting, but I'm lifting for recovery as opposed to lifting for performance and for physique, so to speak. So for those of you who have noticed that I have lost a little bit of my size, that's mainly the reason why. Those are the two reasons why that has happened. So for me, my focus has been cardiovascular activities, flexibility, and maintaining structure that way. But the rest of you, the average person, should be able to focus primarily on having a high level of expenditure at this point while minimizing your food intake and your fluid intake, which is outside of water, during this time, because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where most people tend to struggle, and this is where people have this sense of impending doom where they give up because they know Christmas is coming, where there's more eating festivities coming, and then New Year's where alcohol is mainly consumed, and also this is also the height of football season. So all of these things are coming, and people will have this fuck it attitude. And when they have that attitude, that's where they really will begin to struggle and find themselves on the worst end of their fitness journey. That does not mean that you shouldn't enjoy yourself. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't have some sort of semblance of, obviously if you have food allergies or food complications, that you should actively avoid those at all costs. But what I'm saying is that you don't want to be socially inept at this time either. You don't want to be in your house hiding out from everybody because you feel like the best thing to do is avoid all the temptations. I would look at it more realistically and say mitigate your temptations. Similar to The Rock, what he does is he treats himself at times. So for the hard work that he puts in during the week, he gets one day where he gets what he would like to call the fuck it's. And when he has those moments, he has it for a moment, he embraces it and then releases it, right? So instead of being, in this season and abstaining from all things, I would say abstain while the season is not in session. So all the while so for me, like during Thanksgiving, I abstain from most things until the Wednesday into Thursday moments, and then I go ham. And then after that, I go back to abstaining again. And then when Christmas comes around, I go ham. Hard as a mofo. And then after that, New Year's is very next week. Then after that, I'll stop again. And then New Year's Eve is that very next week. And therefore, I'll celebrate with my wife. And then after that, we back on the grind again. And then we're back on the grind for holidays and things like that. So for those of y'all who are watching right now, go ahead and give me a like so that way more people will actually gather in and find this video. I appreciate you greatly. Also, it is important that you guys subscribe to the channel so that way you get all the information that I put out, whether it be short videos, short fitness comedy videos, or me actually showing you what to do in the gym. Also, these live videos where we discuss various subject matters regarding to fitness, health, and emotional and spiritual health as well. Relationships and things of that nature, because relationships is a part of your health. Because if you do not have good relationships, you're not a healthy person. And if you're not a healthy person in relationships, you're not a healthy person in life. And if you're not a healthy person in life, you need to talk to your boy. All right. So for those of you out there in YouTube land that have any questions for me, feel free to put in the chat whatever you want to talk to me about in regards to the Thanksgiving process. But I'm going to continue until I get some confirmation of conversation in this. I'm going to continue with the discussion. So the deal is that many of us do not understand the variables of Cain. And when you understand the variables of Cain, and you really truly embrace this concept, it will help you deal with this resolution season. It will help you deal with the consequences of Thanksgiving, the consequences of Christmas, the consequences of New Year's. Because once you understand these concepts, you will be able to put yourself in a better position to avoid the negative consequences, and not even avoid them, but to mitigate the negative consequences. Because the other thing that comes into mind is the unrealistic expectation that you are going to come out of this unscathed. There's a reason why bodybuilding season ends around October, November, like officially ends, and then it resets itself in the upcoming months, like, somewhere around, I believe it's like May or June is when they really pop back up. The reason why is because they don't want to set themselves up for failure come around this time. It's not realistic to think that around this time you're going to avoid weight gain. The only way you could avoid it is if you do not partake in it at all. If Thanksgiving is not your jam, Christmas is not your jam, New Year's Eve is not your jam. If none of those are your jam, then you'll come out the other side peachy keen, squeaky clean. It just won't happen, right? But for those of us who do not want to be socially awkward, for those of us who don't want to separate ourselves from family, that's going to be very difficult, because your kids are going to want cookies, your kids are going to want snacks, your family is going to come over with a ham, you're going to make a turkey, depending on your cultural background, mac and cheese, sweet potato pie, or pumpkin pie, depending on your culture, and depending on the region you live in, you might be talking about crab cakes in one place, barbecue in another place, Chinese food in another place. I mean, they might be coming with the whole kit and caboodle, right? So with that being said, why would you expect to come out of this unscathed, where you haven't gained an ounce, let alone a pound, if not 5, if not 10? Now, what I will say is, if you are getting to the extreme ends of weight gain, which is beyond 10 pounds, that's extreme for you to gain more than 10 pounds in what, a month, you are eating excessively beyond what is expected of one during this time. So what I would say is that, you know, keep it down towards the 5 level, if not, even if you can make it maybe 1 or 2. So like, for instance, you know, go on a fast right before Thanksgiving. So like, if you go on a 18-hour fast, you know, drinking water and, you know, literally just going on a 18-hour fast, maybe you would even reduce it to 1 to 2 pounds of weight gain, because now you go on that fast, your metabolism will kick in, which is a part of the expenditure portion of the variables of Cain. You will find yourself, you know, putting that in perspective. So what I will say is, for those of y'all who don't know what the variables of Cain is, you know, let me go ahead and share that with you. So let's start with the variables of Cain here, right? So let's start here. The variables of Cain is simple: consumption, appetite, nutrition, and expenditure. So consumption, I'll go through what they all mean specifically, but these are the variables of Cain, right? So I have them in quadrants. Consumption is, we're talking about food and calories, right? Appetite is the times of day you are consuming. How many times of the day are you consuming food or beverages, for that matter? Nutrition is the quality of the elements you consume, which is your macro and your micronutrients. And last, your expenditure, which is exercise primarily. But with that being said, I'm going to go into the full explanation. So we'll go into consumption, right? Consumption is the component of weight loss or weight gain that garners the most attention. It is important, but it is not the end all be all. With any of these variables are difficult to coexist without the other 3. However, consumption is where you get your calories from. How many calories you consume matters, because if you either accumulate too much or too little, depending on the remaining variables, it will help you gain or lose weight. So in terms of consumption, if I do nothing but eat, eventually I will gain weight, because eventually my expenditure will go down. Even when I don't exercise, there are times, because of the consequences of exercise, that my expenditure is high still. But eventually, just by simply consuming calories, my expenditure will go down, therefore causing me to gain weight. Or if I minimize my expenditure, I will therefore lose weight. All right. So with that being said, let's move on. Appetite is one of the most overlooked components because it is recognized but highly misconstrued. This is where most assumptions are made about the body composition of people who are overweight or obese. Again, it plays a role, but it is a factor of determining how one should consume calories, as opposed to judging how one is healthy or not. So a lot of times people think that by specifically that because somebody eats all the time, that they must be obese, that they must be overweight, that they must be unhealthy, when that's not true. That is how the cells in your body are structured. The metabolism in it, the metabolic cells in your body, whether they be the catatonic or the cation or anion, or catabolic or anabolic metabolism, is why you either eat a lot or eat a little bit, right? If you're a catabolic person like I am, I'm actually genetically catabolic. I break down faster than I build, which is what you would call people who are on the skinnier side of things, right? Because my metabolism breaks down faster than it builds, it is imperative for me to eat a lot of calories in a day's time if I'm trying to either build my size or maintain my size at a certain time, right? So for instance, right now you see that I have lost a little bit of my size, but at the same time, I am also still expending a lot of energy. That's because I wanted to lose a little bit of the weight that I had, because over the course of last year, I had gained a considerable amount of fat. And in that consideration of losing that fat, gaining that fat, I needed to lose it. And I decided that I needed to push myself in different ways, because going through the same rigmarole every time, all the time, your body gets used to that. And because your body gets used to that, weight loss will become difficult. If you're doing the same thing that your body's always accustomed to doing all day, every day, you will eventually, it will become difficult for you to lose any weight of any kind. So therefore, I decided to shock the body, switch it up a little bit, and get into some more high intense workouts such as boxing and cardio, which is more about running, right? So with that weight loss, I've had the weight loss, but like I said, I'm injured, so I can't lift as heavy to maintain the amount of muscle mass that I usually am accustomed to. So therefore, I've shrunk down a little bit in the last couple months, because this injury has been plaguing me for the last month and a half now. So hopefully I'll be getting through it here in the next couple of weeks, and I can get back to my normal activities and not feel as pained, so to speak. But let's get back to the presentation. So how often you eat is not the issue per se. It only becomes an issue if you overindulge in consumption while lacking nutrition and expenditure. Okay? Nutrition, of all the variables, this is one of the most disregarded. Now, if you are not maintaining balance in your balance of nutrients in both macro and micro, your ability to lose, gain, or maintain weight will be extremely difficult. This is where carbs, fats, proteins, along with vitamins, minerals, and water are measured. A person who is not in a sufficient standing in any of these factors will struggle mightily in their fitness goals. So that doesn't mean that, I only eat, 2 pounds of food a day, and therefore I should be able to lose weight. Or I only drink water, I should lose weight. No, because actually the inverse will be true, because your body will no longer trust you if all you're doing is drinking water. Because all you do is drink water, yes, you'll lose weight, but you're also losing valuable muscle, which is the key component to your metabolism. All right? Expenditures last. While it is most regarded, everybody knows what exercise is, right? It is the least practiced. TDEE, or total daily energy expenditure, is the total amount of energy given away on a daily basis. This is all the energy you give away. This is whether you are breathing, whether you're sleeping, whether you're exercising, whether you're playing, whether you're doing extracurricular activities, whether you're training, it doesn't matter. This all compiles into the TDEE, right? First, BMR. BMR is a component of it, which is the base component, which stands for basal metabolic rate. It is what your body needs, the bare minimum to function. So in that regards, when you are functioning, it allows you, this is the energy that allows you to exist. Without this energy, your ability to exist becomes difficult. The less energy you have, the less energy you have, the less existence you will have. So it's literally why we die. We don't have any more energy in our system. And the less energy we have, the less existing we will do. Our lifespan will diminish greatly. All right. So the more muscle density you have, the higher your BMR, which is absolutely true. Next is your NEAT, which is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is where the energy you burn just living, meaning you go to work, whatever your job description is, this is a part of your job description, both as parent, spouse, your career. All of these things are your NEAT. Also, your foraging for food, which is you go into the grocery store. This is all a part of your NEAT. Walking around your house, playing with your children, doing laundry, washing dishes, playing with your dogs, playing with your kids, your grandkids, all of that stuff. This is where NEAT lives, all right? Lastly is the EAT, which is exercise activity thermogenesis. Exercise activity thermogenesis is where exercise comes in. This is literally maybe a third of your energy expenditure if you push yourself, all right? The more you exercise, the more energy you burn, and the harder the workout, the more energy you use. In conjunction with the other three variables, this is how one manipulates their weight and composition, all right? So, anytime you fall into any of these, it's going to struggle. You're going to struggle. If you're not dead in the center where my logo is, ironically, if you're not in the dead center where my logo is, this is why you will struggle. Because if you focus more on your consumption, your appetite is going to suffer. Therefore, you're going to falter in that. If you stay up into the upper half of the section where you focus on your consumption, your appetite, you're going to suffer in your quality of elements and you're not exercising, so therefore your body's still going to break down. All right. If you focus too much on nutrition, you're not getting enough exercise, you're still going to suffer. You have to stay in the logo. You have to stay in the pocket. All right. So those of you in the chat, if you want to, feel free to ask me anything about this and I'll be glad to tell you, because number one, alcohol is a part of the consumption category, right? What a lot of people don't know is that alcohol does have calories. There's a myth that alcohol doesn't have calories, but it really does. It has 7 calories per gram of alcohol. All right. I don't quite know how much, how many grams is in a ounce, but I'm about to find out. Let's see. How many grams are in 1 OZ? So let's go and get my screen.